Hey, what's up, Tarot people? This is Shannon Douglas. I'm the author of Chasing Quicksilver, and today I'm going to dive into the meaning of the Lover's card. Now, my most popular video, I did an account of the parallels between Carl Jung's book Aion, which is a description of his notion of the self, and the parallels between that and the first 10 cards of the Major Arcana, the Fool through the Hermit card, which in my mind is the parallels are kind of inarguable. And we know that Jung lectured on tarot and spoke of tarot, and he studied numerous different occult practices and methodologies. And so, whether or not he had arrived at some of the same conclusions that we find in tarot, in the structure of tarot, and in the archetypes of tarot, or whether he, through other studies, put together this vision independently, we will probably never know. However, the feedback that I get from that video, and there's a link here in the description, actually I'll put a tag up so that you can link to it. The feedback I get from that is that my account and my exploration of the Lover's card and the structure of the Lovers was really meaningful for people, and so I thought I would do a discrete video just on that so that you could get a sense of my thinking on it, as well as some layers perhaps from Jung's notion of the self. Now, before I dive into the card, lots of people look at the Lover's card in hopes of information or learning about relationships and what a healthy relationship is. And if the Lover's card comes up inverted in a reading, sometimes that's a little bit frightening. And love relationships are among the top 3 questions people ask when they approach tarot for some clarification or for a contemplation. And money, love, and happiness is typically the themes in divinatory questions that people ask. Now, I've said many times I don't turn cards for people, except on rare circumstances. I turn birthday cards and I turn Christmas cards for close friends and family. That's the extent of my ongoing practice of reading. But through the years, I've been studying tarot for 25 years. I've done hundreds and hundreds of readings for people, for fun and for entertainment and for insight. And so what's a healthy relationship? Well, I like to think of a relationship in this way. We have to approach a relationship from the perspective of the whole self. And lots of us have stuff. And unfortunately, too many people approach a relationship looking to be completed by the other person. And let's say that because of our stuff, we're a human being that's only operating at, 75% capacity. But our greater soul, our greater self, kind of needs to be operating at 100%. And then we get into a relationship with somebody else who's kind of got this energy flowing through their lives, and they're only operating at 65% of their healthy capacity, because the energy within their psychic field is occupied by their shit, just like lots of us. So what happens when we look at relationships as a way of trying to complete ourselves or trying to fill voids that we have? When we look at the totality of two people, if one person's running at 65 and the other person's running at 75, we look at a relationship and we're like, sometimes people are so damaged you can't even add up to one whole person between the two of you. So this notion of relationships as this way to fulfill ourselves from our deficiencies or our wounds or our sense of lack and longing is going to end in either an unhealthy relationship or a failed relationship in any case. When we approach a relationship, we have to approach a healthy relationship from an approach of having a healthy self and being a healthy individual. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So here is, I'm going to put that up in the center so that you all can see it. This is the Radiant Weight Tarot. It's a lovely painted deck based on the classic Rider-Waite. And you can see the structure of the Lover's card there. You see the man looking to the woman being blessed by the archangel or the higher self, or God, if you want to extend it to those terms. And there's something really particular about the card, and that it doesn't represent the relationship, as I said earlier in the video. It represents the self. Okay, so this isn't about two people, this is about one person. And the way that Jung breaks down the relationship, the internal relationship that we have, or the structure that we have, is we have an ego. I call that the eye behind the eyes. I think I borrowed that from Ken Wilber, by the way. I've said that a few times and I haven't mentioned his name, but I think that I drew that expression, which I like, from Ken Wilber. So the eye behind the eyes is who we think we are. That's our conscious mind. And Jung would call that the ego, who we identify with. Now, we know from modern psychology that we've got a number of different, or many different parts or archetypes that exist, that we're either tapped into or that exist within us. The movie, there was a Pixar movie, I want to say it was called Inside Out, or something like that. The young heroine of the movie, we get to know her internal landscape, and when you're in that landscape, it's a control room that's looking out from behind the eyes, and there's a whole bunch of different characters in there. There's joy, and there's anxiety, and nervousness, and fear, and there's anger, and there's logic, and a bunch of different parts that play within our psyches that we tend to think is the eye behind the eyes, but they actually rise to different occasions in our lives. Now, in the Lover's card, as I'm speaking about that, the ego, or the eye behind the eyes, is the male figure. And the male figure is looking to the female figure, and that female figure represents the unconscious landscape that we have as individuals. In order to become the actualized self, we have to develop that relationship with our unconscious mind. And where it breaks down, we're going to see the parallel card here, because I'll just share it with you. And this is the Devil card. And you can see the parallel structure between the Angel card and the Devil card, and you can see where the people's gazes are looking. So in the Lover's card, the unconscious mind is connected to the unconscious field, or the collective unconscious and our higher self. And in the Devil card, we can see that neither the unconscious or the conscious mind has a relationship with each other. They're not connected, and therefore they're chained and limited by a bunch of earthly things. So we can, if we build up that relationship, and we can start to heal issues that exist within our unconscious lower self, or the mythological analogy of that unconscious field is Hades, right? It's where we derive this notion of hell from in the Christian tradition, but Hades is the underworld, or the unconscious mind, where all our shit and schisms exist. And so when we start to align and start to do work on ourselves, then we can actually unlock energy that's been limited to us, or that we haven't had access to. And as we begin to heal the self and become more of that whole person, instead of running at 75% of our individuated capacity, we come into our fullness of being. Then that makes us an attractive and healthy partner to other people. So the question about relationships, primarily, if we want successful relationships, in my experience, in my opinion, is that the work starts with ourselves. So that is one look at the Lover's card. And there are a number of other nuances in there. In the back of the picture, you can see the tree of life behind Eve. Sorry, that's the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life behind Adam. Has some biblical Garden of Eden references. The elements of the card, that mountain that shows in the background, has symbolic significance. Often we see a red triangle on the breastplate of the angel in this particular card, and all of those elements have different symbolism. So, lots of people want to look at tarot in terms of relationships, and the Suit of Cups, I will say, which I'll talk about more in another video, gives us a lot of insight into relationships themselves, actual relationships with other people. Two of Cups being a really obvious one, where that early erotic energy comes together and forms that third thing between two people, of rising passions and connection and an inspiration. So the suit of cups, or we know as the suit of hearts, if it corresponds to modern playing cards. So that's a little shot on a little view on the tarot lovers card, specifically what my experience is in thinking about relationships and reading tarot over many years. I did an ethics video that you may have linked to this from, and one of the things with tarot and ethics is it ties to that notion of whole personhood. If we're not fully functional and we haven't learned the lessons in our life, and we haven't made that part of our central practice to self-reflect and self-analyze and take responsibility for our stuff, and moving through our own healing journey and learning the wisdom of those lessons in our lives, we don't make very good readers. When we read for people, we can only read as well as for other people to give them self-understanding as to the degree that we have self-understanding ourselves. So that is partly why tarot is considered a hermetic discipline. It ties to alchemy, which is inward-looking and self-reflective, and involves taking personal responsibility for oneself first before we go out into the world and try and enter into relationships. My name is Shannon Douglas. I'm the author of Chasing Quicksilver. I'm glad you tuned in for this video today. It is one of the most popular questions that people ask about, not just in the context of a tarot reading, but when they're studying tarot, is what does this Lover's card actually mean? And after my couple of decades of study and contemplation, that is the wisdom that I have to share with you on that, at least at this level. And I wish you to create a great day.